After being wrong-footed by sudden price rises, the ECB has been raising rates at an unprecedented pace. Inflation has soared since economies reopened after the COVID-19 pandemic, driven by supply bottlenecks and then surging energy costs following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. In a move shadowing similar steps this week by the Federal Reserve and Bank of England, it raised the rate it pays on bank deposits by 50 basis points to 2%, moving further away from a decade of ultra-easy policy. That decision, which was expected, marked a slowdown in the pace of tightening from 75 basis point increases at each of the ECB's two previous meetings, as price pressures show some signs of peaking and a recession looms. But to secure a majority for that slowdown, ECB President Christine Lagarde had to offer dissenters a pledge that rates will be increased again, potentially as many as 3 times, by the same amount, sources told Reuters. Based on the information that we have available today, that predicates another 50 basis point rise at our next meeting and possibly at the one after that, and possibly thereafter, Lagarde told a news conference following the rate announcement. Money markets immediately moved to price in a peak deposit rate of just over 3% by July, compared to 2.75% before the meeting. The ECB is pushing hard to persuade investors of its commitment to fighting higher prices after lagging the Fed and BOE in raising rates. But this return to giving a specific guidance on rates puzzled some ECB watchers because it clashed with the bank's insistence that it will take decisions meeting by meeting and depending on data. There is an intrinsic contradiction here no words can resolve, said Francesco Papadia, a former top ECB official who is now a fellow at the Bruegel think tank. Justifying Lagarde's pledge for more hikes, the ECB's new projections on Thursday showed inflation above the ECB's 2% target through 2025. And Lagarde said inflation may still come in higher than that, citing the possibility of a bout of stronger-than-expected wage growth and of a boost to demand from government support measures across the 19 Eurozone countries. But those forecasts were disparaged as euphemistically controversial by none less than the ECB's former Vice President Vitor Constâncio, who doubted that inflation could remain as high as 3.4% in 2024 even as prices including oil decreased. The problem, though, is that these December projections commanded by national central banks have a lot of non-model judgment, the Portuguese economist said on Twitter. The ECB also said it currently expected any recession to be relatively short-lived and shallow, and Lagarde noted that euro unemployment levels were at rock bottom. QT coming. The ECB also laid out plans to stop replacing maturing bonds from its €5 trillion portfolio, reversing years of asset purchases that have turned the central bank into the biggest creditor of many Eurozone governments. Under the plan, it will reduce monthly reinvestments from its asset purchase program by €15 billion starting in March and revise the pace of balance sheet reduction from July. The move, which mops up liquidity from the financial system, is designed to let long-term borrowing costs rise and follows a similar step by the Fed earlier this year. The impact was immediately felt by the Eurozone's weakest borrowers, such as the Italian government, which have come to rely on the ECB as a major buyer. The yield on Italy's 10-year bonds rose by 31 basis points to 4.19%, the biggest single-day change since the pandemic-induced market rout of March 2020. The reduction in the ECB's balance sheet, when combined with greater fiscal spending needs in the wake of the ongoing energy crisis, could renew upward pressure on sovereign bonds in the euro area, Daniele Antonucci, chief economist at Quintet Private Bank, said. The ECB said it would update the market on the endpoint of the balance sheet normalization by the end of 2023, indicating by how much it plans to reduce liquidity in the banking sector. This is key for determining the cost of funding for banks and therefore the interest rates for companies and households.
Power cuts in 7 states as deadly winter storm and tornadoes hit U.S. A fierce winter storm has left a trail of destruction across the southern U.S., devastating communities and killing 3 people in Louisiana. The weather has also left tens of thousands without power across 6 states. Several East Coast states are forecast to be hit by snow and freezing rain late on Thursday and into Friday. The storm system has also brought blizzard-like conditions to the Midwest. In Louisiana, officials have so far confirmed 3 deaths and dozens of injuries as a result of the storm. In one incident, a 56-year-old woman in St. Charles Parish near New Orleans was killed after a tornado destroyed her home. Communities across the state reported severe damage, including downed power lines and collapsed buildings. One Louisiana resident, Michael Willis, told the BBC's U.S. partner CBS that a close encounter with a tornado near the town of Harvey was the scariest thing he has ever experienced. The tornado lifted him up while he was sitting in his car, a large SUV, while debris smashed through his windshield and passenger window. "It happened fast," he said. "I'm looking at wood, buildings, all in the same spin, like it's spinning with me, and then it just slung me out." Earlier, Louisiana health officials confirmed that a 30-year-old woman and her 8-year-old son were found dead in Caddo Parish in the northwest corner of the state. As of 1500 local time on Thursday, about 10,000 people were still without power in various parts of the state, according to the website poweroutage.us. Power outages were also reported in Wisconsin, Michigan, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Virginia. In Wisconsin alone, 60,000 people were without power on Thursday afternoon. In Florida and Georgia, millions of people were still under tornado watch as the sun rose on Thursday, with authorities warning residents of damaging to destructive winds. A tornado watch is in effect in parts of western Florida and southwestern Georgia until Friday morning. Further north, forecasters expect snow and freezing rain to continue through at least Friday afternoon across a large swath of the country from the East Coast to the Midwest. This system is notable for the fact that it's going to impact areas all the way from California to eventually the Northeast, National Weather Service meteorologist Frank Pereira told CBS. Additionally, in Minnesota, the Star Tribune reported that blizzard-like conditions were likely until Thursday, with as much as 2.5 feet of snow likely by the weekend. In Canada, large parts of Ontario remained freezing rain warnings on Thursday, while snowfall warnings were issued for areas including Ottawa, Montreal, and Quebec City.
Rail cars of material released after NASA spacecraft hit asteroid. When NASA's Double Asteroid Redirection Test spacecraft slammed into the tiny asteroid Dimorphos, the impact certainly left a mark. The intentional collision, which took place on September 26 as a test of asteroid deflection technology, displaced more than 2 million pounds of rocks and dust from the asteroid into space. Scientists estimate it was enough material to fill about 6 or 7 rail cars. The insights gained from the collision are helping scientists learn how this planetary defense technique might be used in the future. That's if an asteroid is ever discovered to be on a collision course with Earth. Neither Dimorphos, nor the larger asteroid Didymos that it orbits, pose a threat to Earth. But the system made for excellent target practice. New findings and images from the impact were shared Thursday at the American Geophysical Union Fall Meeting in Chicago. What we can learn from the DART mission is all part of NASA's overarching work to understand asteroids and other small bodies in our solar system, said Tom Statler, program scientist for DART at NASA, in a statement. Impacting the asteroid was just the start. Now we use the observations to study what these bodies are made of and how they were formed, as well as how to defend our planet should there ever be an asteroid headed our way. Images captured by space and ground-based telescopes before and after the impact are helping scientists piece together what happened, and the spacecraft crashed into Dimorphos at about 14,000 miles per hour. The DART team calculated that the transfer of momentum when the spacecraft hit the asteroid was 3.6 times greater than if the asteroid had absorbed the spacecraft and no material was blasted from the surface. The momentum created when Dimorpho's surface material blasted out into space contributed to moving the asteroid more than the spacecraft did, the researchers said. Momentum transfer is one of the most important things we can measure, because it is information we would need to develop an impactor mission to divert a threatening asteroid, said Andy Cheng, DART investigation team lead from the Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory in Laurel, Maryland, in a statement. Understanding how a spacecraft impact will change an asteroid's momentum is key to designing a mitigation strategy for a planetary defense scenario. The DART mission successfully changed the trajectory of the asteroid Dimorphos, marking the first time humanity intentionally changed the motion of a celestial object in space. Prior to impact, it took Dimorphos 11 hours and 55 minutes to orbit Didymos. Now, it takes Dimorphos 11 hours and 23 minutes to circle Didymos. The DART spacecraft changed the moonlet asteroid's orbit by 32 minutes. Initially, astronomers expected DART to be a success if it shortened the trajectory by 10 minutes.